History is all around us. Sometimes it's hidden in plain sight. Other times, you have to dig a little. But it's always there, waiting to be found. Stories that ignite the imagination, inspire questions, spark ideas. These are the stories the History Channel tells best. Welcome to a world worth knowing.
Es la noche que han estado esperando, la oportunidad de escapar. Los prisioneros pasan años planeando sus escapes, pero hasta los mejores planes pueden salir mal. Yo soy Morgan Freeman. Descubramos los escapes de prisión más espectaculares de la historia. ¿Y pensabas que esto solo pasaba en las películas?
Muy buenas tardes, ¿cómo están amigos y amigas? Estamos felices y orgullosos hoy de poder presentar el estreno de una gran serie, Grandes Escapes, con nada más y nada menos con el único y el excepcional Morgan Freeman, muy conocido como todos por La Voz de Dios. Morgan Freeman es un actor que ha ganado un Oscar, ha sido nominado múltiples veces, ha ganado un Tony y también un Golden Globe. Pero además es hoy por hoy uno de los talentos y los personajes más importantes asociados a las producciones de History Channel. Y para conversar al respecto, quiero invitar a Miguel Brailovsky, nuestro Senior VP de Programación y Programación.
Gracias, César. ¿Cómo están? Bueno, buenas tardes a todos. Gracias por acompañarnos nuevamente hoy. Y la verdad es que hoy es un día especial para los amantes tanto del documental como de la ficción, porque estamos introduciendo esta serie que tal vez es una de las temáticas que ha inspirado más cantidad de series y de películas en la historia del cine, porque existe una fascinación con respecto a las grandes fugas carcelarias de la historia. Son tal vez aquellas escenas que se nos graban en la memoria de películas legendarias, obviamente de las cuales también Morgan Freeman formó parte, pero que no podemos creer que los hechos hayan sido inspirados en eventos reales y en personajes reales. Y eso es lo que pasa con esta serie, que conecta por primera vez de una manera escalofriante el mundo de la realidad con el mundo de la ficción, de gente que desesperadamente, más allá de su background criminal, puso todo su ingenio y su creatividad en escapar de una situación imposible, y que fueron capturados en estas historias que van a quedar para la inmortalidad. Morgan Freeman creo que hoy como marca a nosotros nos viste de gala y nos enorgullece, así como han pasado tantos talentos increíbles en los últimos años por History. Sabemos que la figura de Morgan Freeman trasciende el documental, trasciende la ficción y es una de las voces más queridas y creíbles del mundo del entretenimiento. Es una de las razones principales por las que los tenemos aquí y por las que creemos que es más interesante esta conexión emocional que la serie conecta con la audiencia de History para hablar de temas tan a veces lejanos como la legendaria cárcel de Alcatraz, de la que hemos escuchado historias y hemos visto películas durante tantos años y que vamos a ser testigos de las historias reales que las inspiraron, hasta eventos mucho más cercanos como los escapes también cinematográficos de el Chapo Guzmán, que no solo se escapó una vez de una cárcel de máxima seguridad, se escapó dos. Todo esto hace que para nosotros este sea un evento tremendamente especial, que el mundo de la realidad y el mundo de la ficción se unan como nunca, no solo por el espíritu tan fantástico de las historias, sino por esta figura de Morgan Freeman que nos enorgullece recibir en History nuestra casa y que por primera vez desembarca con Grandes Escapes. Así que antes de hablar con los productores y de tener un poco más de detalle, quiero invitarlos a ver un pequeño adelanto de Grandes Escapes con Morgan Freeman.
Alcatraz, Altiplano, Danemora.
Acero reforzado.
Gigantescos muros para los criminales.
6 torretas de vigilancia. Un gran número de guardias por cada prisionero.
Te recuerda a un castillo. Esta iba a ser la instalación de la que escapar sería imposible.
Algunas de las mejores historias jamás contadas comienzan tras las rejas. Te mostraremos como nunca antes los mejores escapes de prisión.
Tomen una cuchara y la usan como cincel.
Revelaremos cada paso de los meticulosos planes y palpitaremos cada momento de sus escapes.
Habían 2 hoyos en las celdas y 2 reclusos desaparecidos. ¡Santo cielo!
Su brazo quedó atrapado en las sábanas cuando bajaba.
Y pensabas que esto solo pasaba en las películas. Yo soy Morgan Freeman. Descubramos los escapes de prisión más espectaculares de la historia.
Definitivamente los grandes escapes no solamente ocurren en las películas, también ocurren en la vida real. Y cuando se retratan con lujo de detalles y vemos la estrategia, la táctica, los intentos fallidos, el comentario de los expertos y sobre todo la presentación y voz, la credibilidad, como dijo Miguel bien, de Mr. Freeman, vemos que todo cambia. Morgan Freeman, como ustedes saben, participó de muchas películas como Driving Miss Crazy, Miss Daisy, Glory o Shawshank Redemption, por la que todo el mundo lo asocia con el tema de la cárcel y grandes escapes. Pero fue justamente ganador de actor secundario por Million Dollar Baby, dirigida por Clint Eastwood. Así que vamos ahora a conversar no solamente con este gran actor, sino director y productor y figura legendaria de Hollywood, una de las voces más reconocidas de todos los tiempos. Esta entrevista la hicimos unas horas previas y la queremos compartir con ustedes. Conquista. What attracted you the most about this project?
Well, in my company, we have this documentary department that is led actually by James Younger and Jeffrey Sharp. They're constantly fishing around for things to do, documentaries that they can, create and present. I happen to have this reputation for presentation, I guess, and so I'm called on to be part of it. I can't resist.
What do you like the most about Great Escapes on History Channel?
In Great Escape, you get an idea of how dedicated, how courageous, how ingenious people can be in desperate situations. If you tell me that you put a person into an inescapable situation and they escape, they manage to pull that off, my biggest interest is how did they do it?
What do you think make us so fascinated about this particular topic?
I think the very fact that they dared to try. We're going to be on the side of the daring, the heroic effort, no matter who or what. If we see it, we're going to pull for it. We're just like, I just don't believe you could do that. And for every time you get to a point where they're stymied, they become your heroes. How are they going to get around this? Because we already know they got out. Just how they did it. How, right? So we're going to stick. We're going to tune in after the commercial to see, did they really do this and how?
What are we going to see in this series?
We show you how they did it. We give you step by step the details of what they did from moment to moment, almost day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year. Getting out of a maximum security prison is probably one of the most daring attempts that humans can indulge in. And the amount of ingenuity, the amount of courage, the amount of perseverance, stick-to-itivity that it takes to do something like this is probably one of the more fascinating things about human nature that we lock up in prisons.
What is the reason behind Pop Culture Fascination with great escapes, from Shawshank Redemption to El Chapo Escape?
I think, as I said before, I think it's just the audacity that it takes to pull off something like that. The amount of time that it takes to, say, chisel through a wall. In Dannemora, a 7-foot thick outside wall couldn't keep 3 men in. You'd have to be curious about how anybody could pull off something like that. And then once you realize that they actually pulled it off, then you have to appreciate what it took to do it.
What is the most memorable escape from prison that you know of?
I think it's the escape from Dannemora that these 3 guys pulled off. There was the major escape in World War II from the Stalag. Big movie, real ingenious, a lot of preparation, a lot of work, a lot of planning. But there was a lot of people involved there.
And what about the Chapo Escape? What do you think about that one?
Well, Chapo had a lot of money to spread around. And that money got that tunnel built. That money also had them able to use GPS positioning to put themselves in the right place under the prison so they could come up right inside of his cell. Lots of money. That's different from just doing it on your own from inside, you know?
Do you have any special concerns in not making the show because people will learn how to escape from prison?
No, I don't think you can teach anybody how to get out of a prison by showing them, because one of the things that I think is clear is that it ain't something everybody can do. There aren't that many people with the audacity or the cleverness or the ingenuity. Me, for instance, put me in a situation like that, and that's it. That's where I'm going to be. I wouldn't, I would never dream of trying to do that.
What would you like to say to people who don't believe in the prison system at all?
No, I think we need a place to house people, let me put it that way, who are antisocial. Let's say the criminal mind is primarily antisocial. But I don't know. You know what prisons are. They're not correctional institutions. They're punishment. You do something bad, you're going to get punished for it. You're going to pay for it. And that you're going to lose your freedom. You're going to lose privileges as a free human being. So I think we need it. It's misused a lot, but what isn't?
Well, these have been amazing, at least for all of us. We are really grateful to have this time with you, Mr. Morgan Freeman, the voice of God, as you are called. And we have to say thank you. Gracias. Muito obrigado, Morgan.
Thank you very much.
Y ahora, después de conversar con nada más ni nada menos que con Mr. Morgan Freeman, vamos a compartir con ustedes un segmento de lo que es el escape del Chapo.
Esta celda fue de uno de los narcocriminales más notorios y sanguinarios de todos los tiempos, Joaquín Guzmán, también conocido como el Chapo. El Chapo no es solo el cerebro de un cártel internacional de la droga. También es un gran escapista.
Lo que vemos es que en cuestión de semanas el Chapo armó un plan de fuga de la cárcel de Puente Grande.
Orquesta una compleja línea de vehículos lista para recogerlo después de las fugas.
Para esta fuga, sobornó a un pequeño grupo de funcionarios con la idea de que cuanta menos gente lo supiera, menos problemas habría. Y así, finalmente, sobornó a un trabajador llamado Chito.
El Chito, o el Silencioso, es un cómplice perfecto, ya que, gracias a su humilde posición de conserje, está fuera del radar de los guardias.
El Silencioso le abre la puerta, le ayuda a subir a un carro de ropa sucia, lo oculta y lo saca de la celda.
El Chapo sabe cuántas puertas tiene que atravesar para ser libre, pero en un punto, el Chito suelta el carro para pedirle a uno de los guardias que abra la puerta. El carro empieza a rodar hacia atrás. Por supuesto, el Chapo teme que se vaya a volcar, pero el carro se mantiene en pie. El Chito lo recoge, sale de la prisión, entra en el estacionamiento, abre el maletero de un Chevy Montecarlo en el que el Chapo entra y el guardia de la prisión se lo lleva.
Cuenta con ventaja, gracias a que tiene a la policía local en el bolsillo. Pero las fuerzas federales se enteran de la fuga e inician la persecución.
El hecho de que escapara con total impunidad de la prisión de máxima seguridad de Puente Grande en 2001 creó la leyenda del Chapo como el inalcanzable, el intocable.
Bueno, muchísimas gracias. Ahora tengo el placer y el orgullo de presentar a los dos productores detrás de este gran proyecto, a Geoffrey Sharp y James Younger. Hi, James.
Hello.
Hi, Jeffrey. What everybody wants to know here is how this idea come to life and how end up in the History Channel.
I'll start that one if I may. I mean, we had this idea, which is not a brilliant idea, just a kind of obvious idea, which like, hey, we're Morgan Freeman's company, and Morgan was in a movie called Shawshank Redemption. So why not come up with a series about prison escapes with Morgan narrating it and being involved in it? And then the next step was working with History Channel to actually really come up with this new way of integrating him into the story so that he's not just a host in a studio, but actually he feels like he's in the prison. And so we developed that with them, and History was very excited about doing it and trying all these new production techniques to make that happen. And so there we are.
Are we going to be able to have other projects with Morgan Freeman and the History Channel?
Well, we certainly think there will be. I think it's premature to say when and what there will be, but there will be more coming.
Excellent. So now I'm going to leave all the questions for our friends from the media outlets in Latin America and Brazil. So I'm going to open the mics for the Q&A. So stay there where you are, and let's go with the questions. Mariana, estamos listos.
Yes, we are going to start with Úrsula Toro from Casa Editorial de El Tiempo, Colombia.
Hi, to the both of you. I'm so glad to be in here. I just want to know if which of these stories was the most important for you?
James, you want me to take a shot at that?
Yes, please.
I would say that while the shows, I can't say that there was one particular episode that was most important, but there were certainly episodes that we felt like we really wanted to do. For example, I would say that the Dan Amora episode called North Country Breakout, or the El Chapo episode, were both episodes that we thought the audience would be super interested in seeing, and that those are stories that were of great interest to the audience. So I don't know if that answers that.
Yes, and por favor recuerden todos que vamos inmediatamente después de estas preguntas y respuestas ver el primer episodio de esta gran serie, Grandes Escapes, y vamos a empezar con El Chapo. Don't go anywhere, because after the question and answers, we are going to go directly to the first episode, the mere first episode, for all you guys to be able to see what these guys and Morgan Freeman were able to do with History Channel. And do you have any follow-up question? Are you okay with that, Colombia? Any other question, Mariana?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrés Zuliani from Noticias de TV UOL, Brazil.
Hi everyone, I'm Andrea from Brazil. My question is, we're already seeing movies about and TV series about Skip and Amora and El Chapo. Is there any story in the show that there wasn't turned into a movie yet? When you saw it, you said, "Oh my God, this could be a really good movie."
Yeah, I think for sure. That's a good question. I think that the both the Pittsburgh Six and the Helmira episodes, which took place at Elmira, were great stories, and neither of those has been made into a movie. Alcatraz, of course, has. Dan Amora was made into a series directed by Ben Stiller. The Maze in Northern Ireland has been done as a movie. And obviously, Great Escape is a famous Hollywood blockbuster with Steve McQueen that was done too. So yeah, I think Pittsburgh Six is a great story, and so is Elmira.
The Pittsburgh Six also has a, has the main brain behind it. It was a Portuguese guy called Nuno Pontes, who really was incredibly clever. Like, this was so stunned at his ability to be able to dig a tunnel from a workshop under kind of plain view of guards for several months. And one of the most amazing things he did was make a copy of a key using a styrofoam cup. He snuck up behind a guard and used like a styrofoam cup and squeezed it around the key, and was able to then use that impression to cut a key to this workshop so he could dig a tunnel. So it's an amazing story, and I think totally worth being a movie.
Thank you. La siguiente pregunta, por favor.
Alejandro Rodríguez Godard from Radio Nacional, Argentina.
Hi, how are you? Cesar, my man, how are you? And
How you doing, my
well,
friend?
thank you. I'm very good, thank you. I have a question, so it's about two questions, but let's go with one, just one. And how many times of research takes every episode? What about the research? How many time takes it?
Well, it takes a lot of time, and we have a team of associate producers, and researchers who call, email, and speak to as many people as we can that are involved in each story. One of the things that a lot of these stories have is something called an escape report. So after an escape happens, the authorities kind of create a whole document of what happened, what went wrong, why the person escaped. So those can also be great research tools to look at to sort of, create the narrative for how they did escape. James, any other thoughts on that? Or
Yeah, the research is, and also it involves speaking to guards and other inmates, and in some cases, actually a few cases, the people who took part in the escape,
Yeah.
like we did in the Maze and with Pennsylvania Western Penitentiary story. So yeah, it's research and access to people who know.
Thank you very much. Congratulations on the great show.
Gracias,
Thank
campeón. Siguiente pregunta, Mariana.
Laura Gómez Moraes from Galileo Magazine, Brazil.
Hello, how are you? My question is a little bit more about the production. what was the main challenge when mixing the scenes played by the actors with the CGI scenes to make it the most realistic as possible.
James, you want to do that? Take a shot at that?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, so we use this technique called Unreal Engine, which is the video game engine that you use, when you're running down the corridors with shooting up people. All that architecture you see around you is created by Unreal Engine. So now it's ready kind of for prime time for high quality work. So we were able to put Morgan inside prisons and actually inside the escape route in many cases, like in the ventilation shaft, in the cell, up on the roof. But getting that to mix with the actors is actually, a very interesting question. And in some cases, it was actually easier to build a physical cell and put them and Morgan in those cells. So to create kind of a connection between the CGI world and the actors in the recreations. Sometimes we could do it. It all depended on the geometry of the shot.
I think in summation, it was difficult, but I think ultimately rewarding because it did allow us to see or feel like Morgan was along the route with our escapees. That was kind of the goal. So a lot of work doing that.
Gracias. La siguiente pregunta, por favor.
Yes, Eduardo Gutierrez from Quien Magazine, Mexico.
Hello, thank you very much for the time. I would like to know, how did you learn about, the attitude of Mr. Morgan Freeman, his will to still doing so many things in regard of action, in regard of everything that is needed in the set as an actor, and, the very most fun part of working with him.
Could you repeat the first part of your question? It was about his attitude, did you say?
Yeah, I mean, his will to do things, as an actor, to be involved in everything that is needed inside of the set. So how do you feel with that? How do you learn about this?
Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, Morgan's, one of the favorite things Morgan likes to say is, if you're on time, you're late. So he always showed up at set on time and always has a great attitude towards working. It's obviously for a TV show, you don't get as much time as you get with him on a movie, so you got to be very efficient and do many setups, many shots a day. And Morgan is always ready to go, and he's also always done research and will always add some ideas and suggestions of his own to make things more realistic, because I think he really thinks about what it would be like to be inside these prisons and live that way. So he's very very efficient and also very creative.
Thank you. Mariana, la siguiente pregunta.
Camila Valderrama from Las Dos Orillas, Colombia.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, first of all. And I know you had extensive research before the TV show, but I want to know, there is probably some content or information that it won't be on the final result.
Okay. And what do you want to know?
Why? Why that decision that it would be in the final result? And
well, I think I can answer that. I mean, obviously, we do have the constraints of it being a 42-minute. It's a TV show, and we can't really tell the whole story in our show. So we try to focus in our show on the great escape, on the part of the escape that was great, was sort of amazing. So if you're referring, if you think about the El Chapo story, there's many other aspects to the story. There's other prison stays, but we can only focus on, kind of what's exciting and interesting and realistic that we can kind of pull off in one hour show.
Gustavo Meillón de A Media Sala, Mexico.
Hi, I have two questions. One is very quick. How many episodes are we expecting in this first season?
8.
It's 8 episodes. Yeah, 8.
Eight episodes. Well, I guess that you have more than 8 great escapes to tell about. Is there one particular great escape you couldn't tell in this season or anything?
That's a really good question. I think that first of all, we're going to do more, and it's there are a bunch more great escapes. I think that another famous movie is the story Papillon that Dustin Hoffman made in the 70s, which is I guess that's off the coast of, is that Belize, James? Probably.
Guyana, yeah, Guyana. Yeah.
Guyana, yeah. So French Guiana. So that's a great story that would be very difficult for us to tell. It involves water and the jungle. And so there are some stories that are probably a little bit outside of what we can handle. But yeah, that might be one we haven't been able to tell yet, but who knows, maybe in a future season.
More seasons to come. Hay más temporadas y más episodios solamente por History. Now is a question that comes from Victoria Ojam de Telam, Argentina. She wants to know, was there anything that surprised you guys about some case in particular during the research of the show?
One, I was just amazed by one, Jeffrey, that one in Elmira, when they managed to dig a hole in the roof of their cell. It's a solid concrete roof, and they managed to improvise these tools using nothing but screws, like about this big, little kind of sheetrock screws. And for somebody to believe that you can get through, 30 centimeters of solid concrete with just a little screw is just incredibly optimistic. And they were right. They did it.
Yeah, that's what it takes. Results. So, Mariana, next question. Vamos.
Giovanna Delega from Estrelando from Brazil.
Hi, you guys talked about making Morgan not only a hoster of the show, but also a part of the whole project. How was this process of integrating him into being a part of it?
Well, I mean, Morgan is an owner and executive at the company along with James, and so he's always interested in the business and creative side of what his company is doing. And I would say that it's pretty straightforward. James and or I or the team, we inform him along the way about what we're doing. We show him writing or pictures of what we're doing, the escapes, and try to, have him be a part of the process. And sometimes he'll have, good ideas about directions we can go. So, along the way, as much as we can, we try to keep him informed about what we're doing. So when he walks onto the set, we're all on the same page, and, he kind of knows where we're headed.
Yeah. Yeah. And he knows us too. Yeah. He knows, if it was a company he didn't know and we say, walk into the screen stage and say a bunch of things, he might be worried about how it was going to end up, but because it's us and he knows that obviously knows the work we've done, there's a great level of trust, and so he knows that we're going to turn it into a compelling story that looks good. So it's that experience working with him for many years that helps.
Mariana, la siguiente pregunta, por favor.
Yes, from Colombia, Margarita Contreras from El Tiempo newspaper.
Hi, nice to meet you all. Well, my question is, it is different to make a movie about escapes than to tell a real story. So I guess that you received help from different storytellers, investigators, but what does it change between fiction and reality? And besides from telling a story to the public, what is the intention, the real intention behind this series?
Well, James, you should say something too. I would say this is the History Channel, so we are trying to do a real story, but tell it in an entertaining way. So we certainly are only telling the facts as they actually exist, but trying to do that, like I said, in as entertaining and action oriented way possible. James, you want to say anything else about that?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes real life is less interesting than a drama. And so we can't make things up, but there are sometimes boring phases, should I say, in an escape that we can rush by and get to the exciting moments. So we don't have the ability to write or invent material, but we have the ability to edit and tell the most dramatic story based on real events. And then why are we doing it? I mean, I think we're not doing it to help people escape prison. That's not our goal. But I think what our goal is to show ingenuity. You could say that we're the most ingenious and curious and persistent animals on the planet, and escaping from prison is a way in which that is shown. Like how you're in a room with nothing, with concrete walls and steel bars, and you have to get out of there. Well, people are going to find a way, and I think those stories are inherently fascinating.
Now we have a question from Beatriz from Entretensei from Brazil. She's asking, I want to ask the following question. Of all the 8 episodes, what was the story that was heavy and hard to tell and to share with the audience?
Well, I think that's the story Assassin's Flight, which involves James Earl Ray, who assassinated Martin Luther King, was a difficult story to tell. And the show about Northern Ireland involving the maze is also a show that was complex and involved a lot of people. So that was kind of different in a different way. I think that sometimes in a show like this, you have good guys and bad guys, and it can be kind of, unclear all the time who the good guys and the bad guys are. And we tend to root for the people who are trying to escape. That's just kind of your instinct, is to see if they can get out. So it can be tricky kind of balance that interest in them when sometimes they are anti-heroes, I guess you would say. James, does you have anything you want to that make sense?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, yeah, the people are not always the people who escape are not always the good guys, but they are the people who are creating drama and finding opportunities where they shouldn't exist. So, yeah, like the guys who escaped the maze, El Chapo, hero to some people, villains to others. That's life, So the stories are not good and bad. They're just about ingenuity.
Mariana?
Yes, Catalina Donoso from Positive Viva, Chile.
Hello. My interest is to know about the facts. You mentioned the escape report. You speak with the guards. But when you got all this information, how do you manage to sort it out to make the story entertaining for the audience? So how you get the info, how do you sort it out, how you deliver?
Well,
Jeffrey, you should do that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's good old-fashioned journalism, just like you guys are doing. We ask a lot of questions. We get on the internet. We find relatives, guards, people who worked at the prison, and we just, it kind of goes back to journalism. A lot of our producers are people who, have experience in research. And so that's kind of the basis for finding out the facts and then, figuring out how to turn that into a compelling, dramatic story.
We have a question also, Jeffrey and James. People want to know, how can you get away with murder, in the sense that you're able to combine facts and entertainment without glorifying the escapes? How you able to pull that off?
Yeah, I think it is really you're not glorifying the people, but you're it's again a testament to human ingenuity. The fact that you think that somewhere is unescapable, there's no way out, but there's always a way out. And I think that we humans, or all of us, love those kinds of stories, right? Where someone does what seems impossible, be it landing on the moon or sailing across an ocean for the first time. You shouldn't be able to do it, but people do it. And those are the stories that we are drawn to because we can learn from them. And, people who design prisons probably learn from them too. Like figure out how to build them a little bit differently or an extra layer of security. I think about an interesting case is in the story of El Chapo, how do you escape from a prison that's really unescapable? Everything was done to try and make that impossible to escape from. The weakness, of course, is always people. Somebody is always going to be corruptible.
Correct. Thank you. Jeffrey, you want to add something to that? Sorry, Maria.
No, I would say, yeah, I would just echo what James said. Really, yeah, no, I think that makes perfect sense. Yeah, they're fascinating. They have escape rooms now. They're one of the most popular kinds of entertainments for you to go out on a Saturday night with your friends and try to figure out how to get out of the escape room. I just think it's a human thing to say, you can't do this. Here's the box. And then see the human brain, as James said, we're the most sophisticated animal in terms of kind of, okay, well, I'm going to figure out a way to get out.
Perfect. Agree. Now, let's go with Nicole and El Universal de México.
Hi,
Nicole?
it's a pleasure for me. Thank you. Thank you for your time. I would like to ask you about, what do you think about the prison system and the desperation of many innocent prisoners? Did you find a case or a story like this?
We didn't feature a story where someone, James Earl Ray claimed he was innocent of assassinating Martin Luther King, right, Jeffrey? I think he was the only person.
So, yes.
Yeah. And of course, the one story that we did this season where the people are not guilty, of course, is the World War II prisoner of war camp. Those people didn't deserve to be locked up. That's just life. So none of our escapees were really kind of innocent people or claiming to be innocent people. I think that's a different subject. The idea of incarceration of people for long sentences, or incorrect, guilty people being put in jail, is not a subject that we did. Well, there's no reason why we wouldn't in the future do a story with someone like that.
I would say, just to add on to that obviously when you watch the series, you see that prisons as a sort of institution are difficult places for human beings to live in. They're generally a place of deprivation, whether it's, food, water, temperature. They're not happy places. And certainly you can draw your own conclusions about whether or not, as Morgan said, when you heard him earlier, he talked about the fact that we often claim they are places to be reformed, but in reality, they tend to be places where we just lock away the bad guys. So that's certainly true.
Thank you for this reflection.
Thank you. We have a final question from Colombia this time. Mariana, ¿quiere la siguiente pregunta?
Yes, Pache Marín from Wow, Meow y Más, Colombia.
Hello, I'm Dani. Nice to meet you. My questions are,
How long time did you spend looking for info to do this program? And was it recorded in real prisons or it was decoded?
It was not. We did not film in real prisons, right, Jeffrey? We filmed a couple of
No.
exterior shots of some prisons a couple of times,
Yeah,
but really,
yeah. Mostly it was not real.
yeah. Jeffrey, you
Most
should
of
talk
it
about
was-
the process. Yeah.
Well, so most of what we did was our researchers and associate producers would try to find diagrams, pictures, documents of the prisons, and then using all of the techniques that you do in TV and movies, we meticulously reproduced right down to the last detail exactly what those prisons look like. Many of these prisons don't exist anymore, and oftentimes the most modern prisons look more like a what you would call a high school. And so they don't really have the same kind of drama and bars that some of the older prisons like Alcatraz or Elmira have. Anything else,
Thank you
James,
so
you can
much.
think of?
No, yeah.
Well,
So we basically we didn't want to send a whole crew inside a real prison, so we built one. We built them instead. It's a lot safer that way.
Yeah.
James, Jeffrey, thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate everything that you do for this series with Morgan Freeman and everything that you are investing on making this series better and better in every episode. We're looking forward to the next season as well. And we know that you're already moving forward with us. So we are thrilled and excited, not only with the series, but the fact that you are able to combine, I don't know how, facts and entertainment with real stories that keep you in the edge of your seat. We really appreciate it. Miguel?
Thank you so much. We hope everyone enjoys the show.
Definitely a big thanks to James and Jeffrey. It's priceless for us to have this first-hand insight about the series and the production values. Thank you so much for your time. Of course, thank you to
De nada, no
Morgan
se
Freeman as
preocupe,
well.
you'll have to do it.
Y por supuesto invitarlos a todos entonces a este estreno que hemos estado esperando con tantas ansiedades y que podamos compartirlos con toda la audiencia de Latinoamérica, empezando este lunes 4 en México, después el sábado en Argentina, Chile y Brasil y finalmente el domingo 10 en Colombia. Estamos realmente muy ansiosos por compartirlo con toda la audiencia de History Channel.
Pero no todos los que estamos aquí en esta reunión de prensa tenemos que esperar el día del estreno, porque por primera vez podrán ver esta van premier en este momento. Thank you, James. Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you, Miguel. Y ahora vamos a compartir con ustedes el primer episodio de estreno con el episodio del Chapo, solamente por History, Grandes Escapes con Morgan Freeman. Gracias a todos por acompañarnos.